somebody comes up to you, puts their arm around you, and they're like, hey, guy or gal, let's go for a ride. I'm not explaining like a crime documentary waiting to happen. This is maybe a planned surprise trip, and you're just like, okay. So you hop in the passenger seat, and you just hope you don't have a clue where you're going, but you're kind of excited. That's where we are right now. And I have an idea of where I'm going, like you too. I mean, you have your passions, you have your hobbies, and if you have a significant other, for instance, and they know you like hiking, then you can bet your bottom dollar it might be a hiking trip. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's a nice little petty manny, and I'm excited about the future. And I don't know how it's possible to put all of you all in a jar, you listener in a jar or whatever, and say, thank you, thank you, thank you, because you've been here and you continue to show up for me. And I hope that my continuing to put out episodes like this one, episode 301, is showing you that same showing up act that you do for me. So I tip my hat to you. Thank you so much. And we did a thing, the exclusive members only group. Yeah, you need a members jacket. Triers, yeah. How about Mortals? Welcome to the new improved Mortals. The exclusive membership, like we're giving away right now, 1 free month for you. There's no strings attached. Click the link right now and become a mortal. Not immortal, because we're not immortal. We're mortals. We have a finite amount of time on this life, in this world. We're all trying to do our best. And it's a nice little transition from immortal is someone who is, of course, has a certain amount of time. What are you going to do with it? Choose good. And choose to join us right now. A free month right now in the description. Exclusive first looks and listens and free merch opportunities. You get all access before everybody else. Tickets, etc. Like even our limited merch, our new merch. You should check it out. We got some really cool new tees and hoodies and oh my gosh, the well over 100 orders from a few lives on TikTok. You all got a free limited vinyl autographed by yours truly with a nice little drawing in the shipping box itself. I am shipping them. Head over to NathanMorrisMusic.store. That is the official merchandise store for yours truly. Anywhere else is not official. That's a fake. It's a fake. You mean so much. Become a mortal. I would love it. And speaking of, are you ready for this? Are you ready? It's going to sound weird. This is going to be weird. It's going to be really weird. Hold tight. Hold on to the steering wheel. Hold on to your kneecaps. Maybe you want to rub your weenus. That's your elbow, by the way, if you're watching this. And yeah, be sure to follow me on all the socials. But this is Mortals. I know, but I can still say this. It's a show which pulls back the curtain, takes down the walls brick by brick, and exposes the true hearts of those caring for those that you love most, because Mortals, as I said before, we have a finite amount of time. It's not infinite. It's just this much, or maybe this much. It's all, we only have so much. What are you going to do with it? Choose good, be good. I say it all the time. I meet you where you are. Let's jump right in to episode 301. Boom. Sun's out, guns out. Speaking of sun, speaking of gun, not the boom boom gun. This is, if you're watching this, or if you're listening, then I'm just wearing a sleeveless cutoff tee. And we do have sleeveless tank tops in the shop. I'm linking it all. Pretty amazing, actually. I went running with one, but I have a tank top on now. And speaking of sun, it's 1,000 degrees outside. What in the hell is going on? My kid Everett, who I think he was, I don't know that he likes to be inside ever. Ever. He loves outside. I mean, he would live out there if we allowed him to. But today he said, Dad, I'm really hot. I need to stay inside. It's just so hot. I've never heard that ever in his entire lifetime. So that should say a lot. And if you are, one of those people that's totally fine with 100,000 degrees, then kudos to you. I mean, it's really hot. And I met somebody yesterday from Alaska. They're from Anchorage, Alaska. They were telling me that they have this window of maybe like a month of just really good weather, and then it gets cold and dark and dreary. Alaska, I want to go there for like 4 minutes maybe. I think it'd be really fun. But I don't know. They didn't sell it too well. Let's just say that. They did not sell it too well. Kyle, pleasure to have met you. You didn't sell Anchorage too too well. But I appreciate your 15,000 flight hours for sure. All right, what have I been up to? What have I been up to? Oh, I just released this video, and it was 5 things pastors should not say during a funeral eulogy. And it's really funny how you have all these people come together and listen, take nothing personal, ever, ever, ever. Just always assume that people, even if they're directly speaking to you, that they're generically speaking. They're just like speaking, and you hear it. The people who get flustered and respond, those are the ones that it stings because it might be true. Might be true. I said the first thing was like, hey, buddy, this is how you should never start a funeral eulogy. Hello, everyone. Let's start with the obit. Joe Schmo, 29 of Owensboro, reading the entire obituary, and I'll recap it. Okay, picture me this. Riddle me this. The family, they come in. They spend over 2 hours with you around that table, and they come up with this obituary that had 17 revisions. Everyone that's filling the chapel pews or the chairs, they are all there because, yep, they read the obituary, which had the scheduled service times. The people in the front 2 rows on either side, it's the family. And again, they wrote it. Don't. You're just using it to fill some time. And someone wrote in the comments, it sounded as if they were justifying how they read the obituary, because in the Bible it says to say the people's names. And I am not mocking any of their comments and scripture, of course. But don't you think that during a eulogy, they're actually speaking about those that survived the loved one, or maybe those who have proceeded in death along the way, whether it's beautifully or they're tripping up all over themselves? My point is you're already saying the names throughout you Googleizing them, eulogy. So that's not a good argument. So I think that this individual is just justifying that they read the obituary. Maybe all the people that stumble upon the video and he's done their funerals and he's like, dang it, don't read the obituary. Another thing, hey, and this was another thing, like people do altar calls at funerals, not necessarily a bad thing. And what I was saying was, hey, don't just have this like, whoops, we're going to have an altar call and then bow your heads and point out 3 people. It's always, you got to listen to okay, so when you're in the music room, you're in the back of the chapel, you see all the heads bowed, and the people, the pastor's like, oh, I see you. No hand. Because they say, raise your hand if you want to be saved. No one raises their hand. No one. But 3 magical people did. Don't call the people by the wrong name. I've seen it. Absolutely. Oh, that fornicating. Heard that. Anyway, you got to check that out. And if you don't follow me on all the socials, be sure to do so. It's been really fun and interesting. And, oh, another thing that I've realized. And it wasn't. But I guess just because the former president is in this world of political, because I said at a photo, which, of course, the tragic and almost tragic event of not only on live television having a citizen of the United States of America killed, injured people, and then our former president very close to being assassinated, right? And is pumping his fist in patriotism and just like probably adrenaline and just like, oh my gosh, you don't have to like him. Maybe you do like him. My point that I was just making was the fact that I felt just kind of after 9/11 as well, when you have the flag flying and all of the debris and rubble and thousands of lives lost and people still rallying together. United States of America, if you live in the United States and you're a listener, be great wherever you live. I mean, life, like the chances of you being born 1 in 500 billion or something for all the stars to align. That's not from an astrology standpoint, so I'm not getting woo-woo there, but literally from a scientific standpoint, you are here for a purpose. And me living in the United States, like, hell yeah. And if that picture was something that was like, it fired me up as an American, and after 9/11, everyone had flags flying, the American flag flying. I was just talking about how that was a visual representation of my patriotism. You could have had Colin Kaepernick. You could have had JoJo Siwa. I mean, really. it was a moment. It was a moment that I felt was a rally nothing more. How dare you? It's okay. It's not a space because you come for the funerals and music. I get it, but I believe in I believe in I believe in this country. I'm hopeful for it, right? And I wanted to share that, but you can't. You're not that I can't. No, 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 no. How dare you? How dare you be excited to be an American? Be proud where you come from. That's all. That's all I wanted to say. And I'll say what Gary Vee said. This is my house. This is my real estate. When you come into the door, don't take your feet off. That'd be weird. Take your shoes off and wipe your feet. And if you don't want to, then you can't sit here. I accept you where you are. I meet you here, whether you have much or little. I don't know. I wish people would be slower to, ball their fist up and be angry and take some sort of personal, taking everything personal, everything. Oh, how dare you? Oh, speaking of, look at this. Speaking of tank top, look at that is sexy right there. You can get that in the shop. But if you look at the colors here, you notice that? I'm 51% Irish. Kiss me, I'm Irish. I really am. Yeah, you really can. No. Didn't they used to have like kissing booths way back when? Where you remember like in those movies? I don't remember. I've never been to a kissing booth. But in the movies, didn't they have where like the jock or someone handsome or pretty would sit there and accept $1 and people would line up and give them kisses, and it's just definitely frowned upon. You can't get away with that anymore. That's just mono waiting to happen. I love it. What else happened this past week? What else happened to you all? Do you know? I don't know what happened. I'm trying to think. It's been a week. It's been a fun week. I find myself with creativity. You can complicate things and then you simplify things and it just flows. Simplify meaning, I say I don't care. Like the new single, Villain, it's been doing well. It's taken a slower start than the others, which that's another story. It's amazing how I feel it's just frustrating because AI and all these companies that are out there that you could buy bot streams, we're still dealing with because of the single popping off. Last time it did so well at radio. It had so much exposure. It has like 3.7 million streams. And so some of those streams are being flagged. Do you realize how much it would cost? And definitely would have been flagged to buy those bot streams to get 3.7 million. It'd be like 30 to 50 grand. No. Anyway, basically went to radio. It did so well. They found and last time got all these streams, and then people trickled over to the other songs, which had less streams, but still significant amount. And we had been penalized for it, so to speak. They're flagged, so they're still under review. A lot of these streams are still up. That's not the problem, but those are royalties that are to be paid out, and they're being held. So I would love it if you could maybe pause this podcast right now and head over to your favorite streaming platform and stream the hell out of all my music right this second. Stream it like crazy and share it with your friends. You click the share button because you don't realize what doing so does. Click that share button and send it to 10 friends and say, hey, check this guy out if they haven't heard me yet. And share your favorite song. Tell them why you like it. Tell the platforms, we like this guy. I mean, they took away on one of the platforms, Spotify, for instance, they took away many of the listeners. I had like 50,000 monthly listeners, and they're like, oh, because we are flagging this, and it's still, they took away, I think I have like 10,000 monthly listeners right now. It's a drastic shift. We are owed tens of thousands of dollars right now, but it's all being investigated still. Check it out. Stream it. Share it like hell. Share it on all of your socials. It would mean so much to me because that will mess with the algorithm. We'll show them that these aren't bots. I mean, I don't have $30,000 to throw toward a freaking, it's absurd. It's absurd. Anyway, the independent artist, it's happening to tons of artists and musicians and bands right now. It really is. You could look it up right now. Check it out on all the platforms. Check it out on YouTube. Just search DistroKid lawsuits, and you'll be able to see how they're flagging artists that are independent artists because they don't have any interest necessarily in the artist or band. They do. There's a select few, but overall, it's what it is like, hey, here's a lens. This lens represents a band that no one knows of, which is great that they are able to put their music on all of the social, or excuse me, all the streaming platforms through a service like DistroKid. Well, DistroKid's just collecting their annual fee to do that for this band. And then this band might get 1,000 streams a month, and that's cool. But if they pop off, DistroKid doesn't have a vested interest in them. So if they don't know about their backstory or all their hard work or their marketing or that they've been touring like crazy or that their single did so well, they're going to be like, these are fraudulent streams, and they're flagged. And independent artists, for the most part, are like, oh, we won't mess up again, because they send you this screen and it says, you've been flagged, you must promise or else we'll pull all of your stuff. Well, bands and artists, they want to have their music on these platforms. I want you to hear my music. So they're like, okay, we don't know what we did, but we won't do it again. Hell no, like, they don't have people fighting. You can look it up. The platforms like the DistroKids and so forth, they're taking the royalty money. This is real. The royalty money that smaller artist or band that has essentially forfeited. They're like, okay, we won't mess up again. And they may not have done anything wrong. They're taking the money that might be owed to the artist, and they're using that to fund and pay for all the lawsuits for the other things that are happening. It's so messed up. So stream my music. I would love it. Pause this podcast episode, stream it, share it with like 10 people, and let's show these streaming platforms, yeah, you all actually like the music that we're putting out. And speaking of that leads me to my next thing. I don't really know what I was going to say, actually. I really don't. I have not a clue. I do that sometimes. I'm like, yeah, just the art of showing up is really, really critical. And you all pressing the buttons means a shit ton to me. It really does. And the heart, I talk about the heart a lot. And if I backtrack and go to the funeral side of things, any business, if you're in the, I don't know, cow milking industry, that would be the dairy industry, by the way, but we'll call it cow milking industry. Terrible analogy. So let's go back to the funeral homes. Funeral homes for the longest time, unchanged, largely unchanged. Absolutely. But things are changing outside of that. And those that are still family owned, that are still slow and embracing that change, they're going to be left behind. And the thought of, oh, we'll wait by the phone for it to ring, for instance. I mean, like, how can you fall in love with four walls of a funeral home? No one wants to have that experience. And so I was talking to someone the other day. I was like, you all need a podcast. Like this podcast, the Mortals podcast, formerly YDT. We'll call it MRTL, the Mortals. So the four walls of a funeral home can be beautiful, can be landscaped nicely. When you drive by, it might be aesthetically pleasing. Hell, you've driven by it so much, you probably don't even pay attention to it. But during your darkest and most delicate of times, you're going to call someone, probably the first name that pops in your head, because the days of, well, mama went there, daddy's went there, it is going away. It's still there, but it's going away. Get a podcast. How better to connect with your audience, especially when things aren't doom and gloom? Talk about the renovations. Talk about the history of the home. How about you highlight a staff member? You can record it. You can talk to these individuals, and then you can turn it into long form and short form content, because Lord knows that socials for funeral homes is wah, wah, wah. And this is the stuff that I want to do. If you're listening and you're in the funeral profession and you really, really are like, this sounds legit, I would love to connect with you. Click the link in the show notes, because I want you to know that people don't fall in love with the four walls. They fall in love with the hearts of those inside the four walls. And that is real, because if they connect with you on this profound level, then they're going to call you when they need you, which how do you do that? Because a lot of funeral home staff, people, they're too busy, one, but two, technology, what? Not to mock, but it's a lot. It takes a lot for the cameras and the lights and the microphones and all that DAW. I almost said DSP, but DAW. It's very challenging. But there's this platform, there's this program that I use. I'm going to link it. It's called Descript. I'm telling you, it's amazing. If you're listening, you're like, I don't need that. Well, if anything, just that's how I get this to you all. It's a streamlined process. Studio sound, yep. If you recorded it on your phone, still sounds amazing. It would sound amazing. What about a AI eye contact? Let's say I'm not good at talking in front of people. Well, that's okay. You could literally type out your script and you could look off camera, and then you can, like, I'm looking off camera and I'm not going to turn it on, but it literally would make my eyes look at the camera. It's called eye contact. It's amazing. What about green screen? Let's say you have to record it in your broom closet, the recording of the podcast. Again, you can use it with your iPhone or Android. You could green screen the video itself, and then you could be anywhere. You could be on a beach in Cabo. You could be in the White House. You put it, obviously, a picture, but it's all so easy to do. And obviously you want to attach your name to something that is quality and that you believe in. And that's how the movement's made. That's literally how you create the buy-in. And I tell people that all the time. No funeral homes, for the most part, are doing podcasts. And that's a way to stand out. Just imagine having this long form video that I do. I mean, I turn these into little short forms and I put them on all the socials. And Descript does all that. It can schedule it all. It's just so cool. I'll link it in my show notes. But whatever business you run, this is I'm on one, people. Hold tight. This is the day and age, and there's this bubble. It's real, and it's going to last for a few more years. And it's not going to so much burst, but getting on this wave. Maybe it should be a wave analogy, but riding this wave, you'll miss it in the next couple of years. AI, all of this knowledge is at your fingertips. You can absolutely create something meaningful that connects with people. Oh, I only got 200 listens or views or likes or whatever the hell it is. It's 200 more than you were getting. Most funeral homes, for instance, again, using as an example, my gosh, they just post obituaries on their Facebook page, which I do have to admit, people in their obituaries on Facebook, I swear my feed is always having numerous, and that's great. People want to read them. But wouldn't it be cool to do like a staff highlight, or, hey, we went to the local animal shelter, or we donated a bunch of blankets that we had left over to the homeless shelter, like pictures, video. It doesn't have to be high production. By the way, high production, nobody needs it anymore. You all like that stuff. You want to just ingest content. You don't want flashy, like these guns. What else have I been doing? Yeah, Descript. Check it out. I'm a big advocate for it. If you're interested in learning more about it and want to connect, then count me in as your descriptor. And what else is going on? What else is going on? Do I know anything else that's going on? I've got a lot of really cool stuff. I'm excited to share, hopefully soon, shows. You know, it's still waiting. You know, no news is good news right now. Have an interview with, I can't wait. I get to tell you all this after it happens, but Wednesday I have an interview with a really cool radio DJ. It'll be aired on like 14, 16 stations, and it's also a pretty popular podcast. So you'll be able to check that out. Podcasts, obviously you're hearing a recurring theme here. Podcasts is where it's at. Podcasts. Podcasts, guys. It's cool because I don't know about you. I mean, I love audiobooks. So obviously there's a very, you all don't hear that because of the compression in the mic, but there's this rattling and I don't know where it's coming from and it's driving me nuts. Audiobooks are very structured, right? Because obviously you have a beginning, middle, and end, and podcasts are kind of all over the place, but you still get to hear people talk. And I think we love that. I mean, we do love that. We love to listen to people talk. We love conversation. We also love to constantly be consuming. I mean, so take a minute, take a break on that for sure. I do need to make sure I tell you all this again because it's very, very important that the 100 and I think it's 117 orders in the last 2 weeks of merch. Head over to the shop, buy you a shirt, buy you a hoodie. Until they're gone, anybody who does that, we're going to send them a vinyl while they last, while supplies last. An autographed vinyl with Gentleman's Closure Remaster is the first record, right? It was the OG record, but I want to say thank you because this economy and money is tough. It's hard. You got bills, you got lights, you got utilities. So for you to invest in me means so very much. And that was the reason I wanted to say, okay, because you did that, I'm gonna send this to you. I'm gonna personally send it to you. And it's on my dime, essentially. These are $40 outside of getting them for free otherwise, right? So I think it's important for you to hear me there, that I'm grateful because you work your ass off for what you have, and for you to take a portion of that and say, hey, here you go, I believe in you. That means a lot to me. So kudos to you. I really appreciate that very much. And if you can too, I know there's a lot of asks this episode, but maybe give a nice little 5-star review wherever you're listening to this podcast. Leave a review, leave a 5-star, and share this podcast because that's how it does grow. And last but not least, I skimmed over it, but I want to mention, 3 seasons of YDT, You'll Die Trying. We are trying every day to be better versions of ourselves. We're going to be remembered for something. Listen, Mortals, it has this timeless feel to it because Nathan Morris, NMM, Nathan Morris Music, or Nathan Morris Mortals, it really fits. And Mortals, it reminds us that it's not a doom and gloom thing, but we do only have a certain amount of time. And what are you going to do with it? I say that, like, do good, be good, do good, choose good. It's a big change. So this podcast, you'll see slowly but surely some visual changes, and you're going to hear, it is still a show which pulls back the curtain, because the curtain of my life, the curtain, whether it's talking about why, how, what, when, where for the funeral profession, or my songs and the heart behind that, which, speaking of, Mondays on the exclusive Mortals, we do music. So I last week released Laundry Room. This week, you got to check it out, but click the link. It's a free month on me, and if you love it, stick around. I want to build a community with you. That's what it's about. I can release content all day long, but at the end of the day, when I'm not releasing music, what do we have? We have this, right? It could be a real thing. And so I want you to be a part of it with me. It means so much. It would mean so much to me, but Mortals is the name of this movement, and you are part of that, and I'm grateful that you are wherever you are listening. And so giving you a lot of marching orders. I have a writing session. I had one last week, and Kayla's daughter was ill, so we've moved it to this week. I'm looking forward to that. The season that I'm in is super fun. Hot as hell outside, but it's really fun. I feel creative. I feel fulfilled. I'm excited. I've been playing a hell of Fortnite. I suck at it, but I'm playing it because it's a cool way to connect with my boys. I love connecting with my 2 oldest, right? If they're playing, I say I'm going to meet you here, wherever it is, and, they're amazing. They're really good. The only thing is, when you put those damn headphones on, breaker one on, they only know one volume, and it's screaming. It's screaming. That's my week. Wherever your week takes you, stay hydrated. Drink you some liquid IV. Yeah, if you're interested or considering starting a podcast, check out Descript in the link. I mean, it's a really badass platform. If you're in the funeral profession, you need a podcast. Why? Because people care. They want to know. They want to know. And don't read the obituary. Don't do it. Don't do it. All right, share the songs. Let them know a big. I was gonna say F you. Don't say F you to them. Give them a big ol' F you. No, just tell them that, hey, we love this guy. Well, maybe you don't yet, but I hope to earn your trust. And in the meantime, maybe stream a song or 2 and share that with your friends, and leave a review on this podcast. Anyway, follow me on all the socials, and a partridge in a pear tree. This is episode 301 of YDT's Mortals. Yeah, that's too confusing. It's Mortals. I don't need to embrace it. It's Mortals. It's a show which pulls back the curtain, takes down the walls brick by brick, and exposes the hearts of those caring for those you love most. I'm talking really, really fast because 301's in the bag. All right, you're left far more you could ever know. Sun's out, guns out, I'm out. Let's go.